I'm Steve James, and welcome to 30 Minutes on Thunderbolt Radio and Digital. On this weekend's 30 Minutes, it's part one of this year's induction ceremony of the Weakley County Sports Hall of Fame. David Byars, Kendall Cavin Maxwell, Jeff Crouse, Jim Graves, Ron Lewellen, Emily Roberts Laird, Noah Lampkins, and the 1992 state basketball champion Gleason Lady Bulldogs. The MCs for the ceremony were John Hattler and Chris Brinkley.
Our first recognition this evening will be our yearly team honoree. And this year, very exciting, it's the 1992 Class A state champion. And talking about that team will be a gentleman who really allowed me to begin working in the world of sports, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I would say that he's done as much for Weakley County sports as anyone I know. He is tireless. Put your hands together for Mr. Paul Tinkle.
Tonight, we recognize the 1992 Gleason Lady Bulldogs. On Saturday, March 14th, 4:30 p.m., Murfreesboro, Tennessee, down by 5 points, 25-20 at halftime. Gleason coach Randy Frazier methodically pulled his team closer and told them to keep shooting. At the end of the third quarter, the team had creeped up on their opponent, Salina, but just still trailing 36-34. In the fourth quarter, the Lady Bulldogs outscored their opponent 16-10 in that last 8 minutes and won the state championship game 52-44, bringing the first girls basketball state championship home to Weakley County, and specifically to Gleason. But it's okay. Lay them off. But how did the Lady Bulldogs prepare to win? It began with parents, family, teachers, coaches, a crowd of support, and it also took exemplary character, church, and community that loves its small hometown. And with that said, it's my pleasure to introduce to you one of the smallest schools in Tennessee that claimed a state championship, the 1992 Lady Bulldog Championship team here tonight. It gives me great pleasure to call your names out. We'll start with the full team. Too often we forget those people that are behind what's going on. So we're starting with the managers. And if you're here today and you hear me call your name, please stand up. Managers: Andrea Bell, Tara Doster, Kara Sanders Atkins. Bookkeeper and statistician, stand up if you will and stay stand up. Miss Debbie Hagler. Lady Bulldogs cheerleaders, Terry Doster, Wendy Russell, Michelle Warman, Sunshine Lowe, Crystal Lowe, Raquel Watkins, Stacy Garrett, and Angela McAdoo. The cheerleader sponsors, Kay Hudson here tonight and Amy Orr. The assistant principal and really known as the crowd leader, Mitchell Parham. The Gleason principal Jerry Simmons, and the Booster Club president Nancy Williams. Where are you, Miss Nancy? Stand up. Stand up, Miss Nancy. Give this group a round of applause right now. And now let me present, you folks can sit down. And now let me present the 1992 Gleason State Championship basketball team. Holly Crow Adams. You're going to have to get up on me as quick as you can. Okay, here we go. Christy McKee Stevenson. Stacy Stewart Cook. Christy Sawyers Wallace. Lee Ann Bell Smith. Becky Crow Paget. Tanya Parham Duncan. Camille Connell Leggins. Nikki Stevens Pace. Heather Limcool Leach. Lisa Wallace Palmer. Christy Freeman O'Connor. Olivia Lowe Gillum. Ashley Hopper Flint. Selena Dildy Farragut. and Brandy Wiseman, and the Gleason girls coach and TSSAA Hall of Famer, Randy Frazier. Gleason Lady Bulldogs and Coach Frazier, you were the first to bring a girls' state championship back to this small community in Weakley County, in Gleason, home of the Gleason Lady Bulldogs. And in your recognition tonight, a heartfelt congratulations, Lady Bulldogs and Coach Frazier, from the Weakley County Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul. Well done. Let's go a little further. Randy, if you'll come on up here, we'll put you on the stage. And Mitchell Parham, who led that cheer throughout the tournament. Mitchell, if you'll make your way up on the stage, we'll give you the microphone and share a few memories. John's got your microphones here. I was supposed to stay behind that curtain, but when everyone started standing, I just wanted to see everybody again. That's awesome. What a year, 1992. Again, Coach Randy Frazier and Mitchell Parham, who was the assistant principal and also the athletic director, and kind of like a mascot there for a little while when you were doing that cheer. Randy, to you, what stood out about that team, the 1992 team? What can you tell us about them?
I would say the fondest memory I have of that team is they were trailblazers. That was our third trip to the state tournament, and there was a run of state championships. Middle Tennessee was pretty much dominating, winning it year after year. And winning in '92 was the first to kind of open the door. And fortunately for this area, and particularly for Weakley County, multiple teams have seen that that's a possibility, and I think that stands out. Another thing that I would say about this was an unusual team, probably one of the best teams that I ever coached. They were a very talented team. We had 8 girls that almost averaged or did average double-figure points a game. We had 8 girls that went on to play collegiately off that team. Just a very hard-nosed, tough team. We could play a lot of different styles. And I remember the semifinal game of the state tournament. We beat Denmark West and scored almost every point within 3 feet of the basket. We had the kind of team that could do that with our inside play. And then the very next game, we won the state championship by making threes and making points on the perimeter because we had the perimeter players could do that. So an unusual team. Things have changed a lot. I look back, the hair was a lot frizzier and the shorts were a lot shorter.
You were wearing boots?
I was wearing boots and glasses, but the game's changed. There were only 3 classes of girls basketball back then. I think we've got 6 today. So you had a bunch of teams to get through to get to that pinnacle of winning state championship.
You and I were talking about that. The bigger teams in Class A, what was enrollment?
430.
Yeah, and Gleason was what?
We were about 150.
Yeah.
And I think there were about 140 schools in single A back at that time. We had about 420 schools. Unusual thing, which is very unusual for today. I was the only coach. I didn't have an assistant, so I had to teach these girls how to coach themselves, and that was very interesting. And I had a lot of outstanding leaders on that team, and really kind of opened the door for what turned out to be a pretty good run of basketball.
Mitchell, you were a big part of that. Anybody who's there remembers the cheer. How did that start? And tell us about the crowd and the support you had.
Thank you, Chris. Before I go into that, I want to thank the Weakley County Sports Hall of Fame Board for allowing me to be part of this evening tonight and recognizing these girls. The cheer actually got started in the fall of 1980 at a junior high football pep rally. But it did go public.
For those of you who weren't there, this is what I was in my memory. You would stand in front of the crowd, the Gleason fans, and it was like Elvis had entered the building. Go ahead, Mitchell.
Thank you. I didn't know about that. Anyway, it got started. It didn't go public until we played in the sub-state game in 1990 down in Scottsdale. And that's kind of where it started publicly. Yeah. Anyway, I want to build on something what he said about well, what you said about the boots. The reason he was wearing boots is because he left his shoes at home. Yeah.
Well, right?
That's true.
That's right. He left his boots at home.
A happy accident.
Yeah, I don't think it was that year we left the basketballs at home. That was
That was next time.
That was next time. Yeah, it was always leaving something. But one thing about the team, I know we're kind of off subject. One thing about the team, he kind of mentioned about the balance of the players in the state tournament. If I'm not mistaken, I think Holly led the team in scoring the first game. Christy Sawyers led the team in scoring the second game. And Chris McKee led the team in scoring the third game. So you didn't have that one go-to person. It was a well-balanced basketball team. Fabulous time.
Two more questions, Randy. One for you. I've been lucky enough to follow some championship teams. Usually the turning point for a championship team is not in the championship game. What was the turning point for that team, that 1992 team? What happened that was a catalyst that helped you win that championship?
Well, I'll say two things. Probably the overall picture. The year before, we played Clark Range first round of the state tournament, and Clark Range had won several state championships in a row. And we drew them the first game, and we played them to the wire. And really, we were not given much chance in that game. And we left there thinking we probably should have won the game. And when we got back to the hotel, we were ready to go home and get a little rest. We were ready to go back to work. And I would say probably every day of practice, from the summer to the year, we talked about every day winning state tournament. So I think of getting close the year before and losing to the state champion showed us that we had the ability to do that. We just had to get the job done. Probably overall in that game, if you listen this morning, Salina really had some big girls inside, and they packed it in on us because we had a really good inside game. And Christy McKee was our floor general. She was not the biggest player on the floor, but played with a lot of spunk and energy. And all throughout the season, when teams packed it in, she'd make 3-pointers and she'd make free throws. And that particular night, and maybe a game or two prior to the state tournament, she'd gone through a little slump. And as anyone's ever played athletics, when things are not going well, you start doubting yourself. And so I told her at halftime, you got to shoot. It's what got us here. If they're going to pack it in, you got to shoot. She shot, and the first one went in and out second half, and the second one was an air ball. And she looked at me like, you really want me to keep doing this? And I said, absolutely. If you don't make it, we're going to rebound it. So she made one, and it kind of opened the door. And I think that was the turning point of the game. She says she's 5 foot, but really she's 4'11". And she got a bunch of rebounds and steals in that game, and was that particular night the biggest player on the floor.
And Mitchell, final thoughts with them here, this team. What did that team mean to Gleason, to you, to Weakley County sports?
It meant a lot to this town of Gleason. Tournament time in Gleason, basketball tournament time, is like a festival. I mean, it's something completely new. Paul mentioned, Miss Amy and Miss Kay, the cheerleader sponsors and the cheerleaders. They had everything ready to go. They had the banners, they had the signs made, they had the flags ready to go, they had the duct tape ready to go, and they used it. And it was, it was just a community-wide event, and you could tell, each round you got further in the tournament, more people was coming. And then on that March 14th, 1992, at the state championship game, just about everybody in Gleason was there. I mean, it was unreal how it was packed. And really, I remember now, looking back, there were a lot of people, not just from Gleason there cheering them on. There was people from different communities here in Weakley County. It was, it was great to be there, and so many people from Gleason. As a matter of fact, Junior Watts closed down J.J.'s restaurant where he could be at the game to watch the game, and that's a big deal on Saturday night. So it was great for the community, and it was fun. I was really proud to be a part of it. And I thank Coach Frazier and the team for allowing me to be playing a part in that.
Put your hands together for Mitchell Parr. I'm Randy Frazier, 1992.
Our next, first inductee we're going to talk to tonight is Mr. Jeff Crouse. Mr. Jeff Crouse was a graduate of Greenfield High School. He was a 1984 most valuable player in the state tournament. You always heard the phrase "runs like a deer." Never in my life had I seen that manifest itself till I played BNR gear softball with Jeff after I got to playing in college. And I'm athletically fat. Tandy, Darby, his group, Scott Taylor were talking like Shamu. I'm athletically fat. Jeff, I've got a lot of nicknames. Some of them are not fit for public consumption. However, Jeff Crouse gave me one that has stuck, and it's pork chop. So, as pork chop, Jeff, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Let's come hear what you have to say.
So you call him Pork Chop?
Yes.
I'll never call him John Hatler again.
I never have either.
Congratulations. Anybody you would like to thank or recognize that's here?
Yes, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame. I found out tonight who kind of nominated me, and it was my next door neighbor. She's passed away now.
Wow.
And but I found that out, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the board putting me in, and most of all would be my teammates. Because without all of them, I wouldn't be up here. They all need to be up here with me, too, because they were the big part of it, too.
Hard to believe, though, it was 40 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. What are your memories from that season in your career?
The biggest would be the crowds. That stands. I mean, all the basketball playing, I could sit here and talk for nights. But the crowds... back then, like Randy was talking about the teams, we probably had, 14 teams in our district. And 10 of them was very good. You won the district, you deserved it. And most of the time the tournaments was at Greenfield, and if you weren't from Greenfield, you had to sit wherever because it was pretty well, I mean, it was a small gym. They said it would hold 1,500. I know one night I heard it was over 2,000. Mm-hmm. And then the fire marshal, somebody told them, and you know how that goes. But they would be 3 deep, and it was just something. We had a little band, and, we'd get ready to run out, and the band would start playing, and it was something.
Yeah. One of the interesting things I think in sports is most players who play sports, particularly high school sports or college sports, they lose the last game of their career, usually in high school, because you either have to win the championship or you have to be a team that didn't make the tournament, and then you happen to win the last game of the regular season. You won your last game your senior year because you won a championship, and you had 28 points in that game. What do you remember about that game specifically?
We led most of the game, but sometimes you think, well, we're going to win this game. This team, if we played Bolton, if we played them 10 more times, they'd beat us 10 times. I don't think that we could beat them again, but we didn't have to beat them but one time.
What happened? How did you do it?
It was about 13 of us on the team. We had all been together since junior high. We'd won the county championship twice. It was just one of them things that night, we had a tough district. If you had to play Kenton and Bradford, South Fulton, Dresden every week like we did, we just had overall, we had the height. We could score. We didn't have 3 points back then. We averaged over 70 points a game. And, I think our sub-state game, we played Memphis Westside, we scored almost 90, and that's without 3 points. And Mr. Durden, he'd always say he didn't worry about offense. He had 3 or 4 little simple plays, and the defense, that was our main thing, because the last 3 teams we played, or 4, they had, every one of them had players that was over 6'8", and but that's the biggest thing. The crowd was the biggest thing, and I wanted to mention this. When we went in our regional tournaments, we 2 or 3 games we won on last seconds, and the crowd just poured on the floor. Well, we played at Vanderbilt, and It was the second game. We beat Denmark West Front, which played Knoxville Webb, which they had 2 guys that went to play for Virginia. We was losing by 1 point with so many seconds to go. Come down, my brother shot probably a 30-foot jump shot and banked it in. Our crowd of 2,000 or more just poured onto the floor. Come to find out, that's a no-no. But we weren't from Nashville. We were just from Greenfield. And our crowd didn't care because we had done that for the last 3 weeks. And then when we played the next night, we're out there. It's kind of like President Trump was coming. They had it all blocked off. They had more security guards because I just remember some of us making a joke. If somebody hits the last second shot, it still ain't enough to stop our parade. And it wasn't only people from Greenfield. And I know I worked for the electric company, and we was up north of Palmersville a couple years ago, and I told this lady and man that we was going to park in their yard. They asked my name. I told him, and he said, Crouse. Like I said, we're at the Kentucky state line. He said, there was 2 Crouse boys that used to play at Greenfield. And I said, well, I'm one of them. My brother's the other one. He said, we went to every game. And he was laughing. He said, me and my family and whatever. He said, we loaded up in the old Electra 225 Buick and went. And that's what amazes me.
So I guess they let you park in their yard.
Yes. That's what amazed me as far as the crowds. I mean, it's been 41 years, and my kids and them laugh when they go somewhere. They ask their name, and they'll tell me. They say, "We can't believe we can't go nowhere." So but we were the first team in the county to win a state tournament, and we're still the only boys team basketball that's won the state, and it was just a big thing for the whole county. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and still is. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Jeff Crouse. Thank you, Jeff. You must inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Again, one of the things that every year we've had the Hall of Fame induction, we've had pioneers, and we've had someone recognized that was a phenomenal female basketball player. Kara Sanders a couple of years ago, Ashley McElhaney, we had Lynn Dunn, we had Tara Tansel. We just had a ton, and you can see the depths of women's basketball. What a lot of us, well, I shouldn't say a lot of us, y'all are older than I am, but I've known nothing but 5-on-5 full court basketball for women. There was a time when you remember there was 3 versus 3 half court. And that time came to transition away and make it like it should have been. And the guy at Westview High School that did that was Mr. David Byars. Mr. David Byars spent over 45 years in our school system in Weakley County. He helped transition from 3 versus 3 basketball to 5-on-5. Our next inductee is Mr. David Byars.
You beat me up here. Congratulations. Yeah. You were my principal when I was in high school. Was that okay?
That's great. That was a lot of principals in high school.
Yeah. But yeah, what people don't realize is that you coached basketball and then became a cheerleading coach, which was just phenomenal. And I guess my question for you, first of all, is how did you get into cheerleading? How did you become a cheerleading coach?
Well, when I was coming into town back in 1968, when I arrived, I was going to be football and basketball assistant, and that worked out well. Had some good working opportunities. And then after a few years, I went to the central office as attendance supervisor and materials, textbooks, that type of thing. While I was there, Ms. Greer carried the cheerleaders to competitions at the camp, and they wanted to go to win during Christmas because Christmas Day night we get on a bus and go to Dallas at that time. And so I was over at the high school delivering some books and so on, and Dr. Heath asked me, he said, I'm having a hard time finding a coach for cheerleaders. I said, well, keep looking. Because that's the job that having in the summertime, they practice, and I had a daughter who's going to be a senior.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to see it stop. We want her to have a senior year. So I went home and talked to my wife. And she said, okay. So she took them in the summertime when I was bathing hay and doing other farming things. And she practiced and made practice every day, which they still do in most schools, I think. And she worked with them, and school started. I came in after school was out and practiced at night. We practiced at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night after. You're shaking your head, and you know, because we come in after we could practice.
Coach McMillan up here.
But and we worked that way for a good while, and worked, and 21 years later, we're retired.
Yeah. I love your story, but you're being a little humble. 6 national championships. National. I mean, it's rare at the high school level you have the opportunity to win a national championship. Your dedication, your work, you pioneering the sport in our area, gave us. You put Martin on the map with the national media and the national spotlight, and it was tremendous. After being a basketball coach and a principal and everything else you did, and what I also thought was amazing about all of it is, as you just said, it wasn't just you; it was your entire family was involved. And that was the magic. He's a little emotional, and I personally think being emotional is fantastic because it means it really matters. That's when you get emotional. You get emotional when things matter. And what you did mattered and will forever matter, and that's why you're sitting on the stage right now.
But everybody in my family had a part in the cheerleader competitions. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't cheer for you right now, really.
No cartwheels?
No cartwheels, but I had people that dream up the routine. People teach tumbling. People critique the dance. That part of it. My whole family, my wife, Miss Fates. We had a good group, and I am emotional. I don't apologize for that.
You never apologize for being emotional.
Because I couldn't have done it without their help, and I couldn't have done it without being hired to come here and work for 45 years in my hometown, home area. And I'm proud to see these teams in every sport that does well. Because over this year, my wife and I had missed the game in the women's state tournament for this year. And my health kind of knocked that in the head, but we're hoping to get that back. But it's been a pleasure. And I'm very proud of this community.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for national champion coach David Byars.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.